So, I want to talk about how I know God is real. And even before I embarked on this journey last year, when I reflect and look back on my past, I can see instances where even though I was ignoring Him, even though I wasn't for Him or felt like He wasn't for me, He still made moves in my life. So, one instance is going to be how I got to go to the high school I went to. So I grew up in poverty. I probably lived in every public housing project in my city. My mom was on all types of government assistance. She was a single parent. Oftentimes, she had to work two jobs to support us. Um, but I somehow managed to stay in private schools, with the exception of 4 years from second um, to fifth grade. So at the time I was going to high school, gang violence was a real thing in my city. Like wearing certain colors would just get you hurt. And I knew that wasn't the environment for me. So I was going to a Christian middle school and we were trying to look for high schools for me to go to because I knew in my heart public schools in my city just it wasn't the route for me to go. My sister went to the public high school that we were zoned for, and she was bullied for 4 years, and I just don't think I could have survived that. And I was already super quiet, so I don't know if that would have just given people ammo because they thought maybe I wasn't going to retaliate. I don't know. I didn't care. I just knew I didn't want to be in that environment. So even before high school, the middle school I went to, sixth through eighth grade, sixth and seventh grade, my mom paid my tuition, and that final year she just couldn't. So the first day of my eighth grade year, I ended up going to a public school near my grandmother's house. So I had to go stay over there, which was something I didn't want to do. So I went to school that one day and I had to catch the yellow bus, which is something I had never done before because the private schools I went to didn't have buses. Um, so it was just an all around awful experience. So the middle school I went to called my mom to see why I wasn't at school. And she poured her heart out to them, and what they did was offered me a scholarship so that I could finish my eighth grade year there. So second day of school, I'm back at my original school with my friends and the people that I knew. But that isn't even the how I knew that I'm referring to. So I didn't want to go to a public high school, so I'm looking at the neighboring city, which is a high school that my cousin was going to, and she lived with my grandmother too. So I was looking at that as an option. If I had to go to public school, I would just go stay with my grandmother and go to the same school that my cousin was going to, because even though it was public, it was still a better option. But God had other plans. So my eighth grade year, they had a essay contest, and a scholarship contest, and the scholarship was to go to this private Catholic high school in my city. And before even before the essay contest, my best friend and I at the time went to an information session at this high school to, just get a tour, see what it was about, because she was Catholic. And so that she was pretty much destined to go to this school. And after we saw how much the tuition was, and my mom and dad went. So, but after we saw how much tuition was, I just, in my heart of heart, I just knew it wasn't going to happen. And so back to school, back in eighth grade, they have this scholarship competition, sponsored by this couple that I had never heard of, never met, still don't know. I can't even tell you their names. But I wrote the essay. I won. I don't know if that was intentional or what. But And they paid for 4 years of school. And the tuition at the time, tuition and books was between $6,000 and $7,000 a year. And I knew my mother didn't have that. I knew my dad didn't have that. So it was only by the grace of God that I was able to experience 4 years in this school. And it was the biggest obstacle, I guess, was just getting me there back and forth, because it was a pretty good ways from where I lived. So getting to school was fine. My mom did that, but getting home was a struggle a lot of times for 4 years. But my best friend and her parents were a huge help in that, because they would often drop me off. So yeah, that's one instance how I know God is real, because I didn't know these people didn't know me. They didn't had no idea, the idea that I was trying to go to this school, and that I desperately wanted to avoid public school. But and that's not the only instance. I have several stories of how God was for me, even when I was completely ignoring him.